Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Different cities, different results. And this is brought to you by the generous donation of one of my supporters. He wanted to know about, if you're a guy, you in different cities where you get different results. Um, and even though I think I covered this somewhere before, Rom get some ducats. I'll go over it again because probably the person didn't hear it the first time around. But yes, yes, and here's why. You have to understand a very significant part of the game is your environment. Your environment is going to play a big part on how you're going to do with a woman. Because remember, I've talked about how your religion's going to play a part, how your socioeconomic background's going to play a part, your subculture and everything. But that's all of a part. But then it's what environment are you interacting in? Are you in an environment on a regular basis, and not just your social, not just socially, but like who you hang out with, but where you work, where you live, where whatever you got is going to go over well with the people or the women in that environment. Give you an example. Give you an example. Like from when I was young. Now, people who are familiar with DC Go-Go. People are familiar with DC Go-Go. I mentioned I used to go to Go-Go's all the time when I was, coming up. Teens through early 20s. Now, I went to school in Philly. I'm from DC. I went to school in Philly. Now, if you go to the Go-Go's, I brought up the Go-Go's because at the time, like I said, I don't know what it is now, but at the time, you could walk up on a woman and just start grinding her. That's how it was at the Go-Go's back then. If it felt good to her, she might look back. That's just how it was. That was just a social thing. They ain't trip. And for anybody think, just grabbed up. Nah, if she felt it or anything, she just walked away. That was just it. So I was used to doing that. But one thing, when I went to Philly for school, I couldn't do that. In fact, I instinctively just sat back and just watched the social situation and say, oh, okay. Well, first of all, they don't got the go-go up here. They had the DJs in Philly and stuff. Philly got some, as a tangent, at least back then, Philly had some thorough ass DJs. They mixed that song so well you couldn't even pick up the mix. But anyway, it was a different environment. Now, my game up to that point had been developed with go-go and in the environment with the go-go music. In fact, to this day, I say the only thing I can dance to with rhythm is go-go. I can't dance to anything else. Seriously, I got zero rhythm with everything else. But you put on some EU, some old school Chuck, Trouble, Rare Essence, even Junkyard, Ron looking like he could be in a dance contest. But that was different environments. So, and now me, I'm an adaptable person. But what if that's somebody else? They used to, how it was in DC. They go up to another city or something. If they've been in the same situation, they might not have been able to do it. And people got to understand that. And, that's just the class thing. Like, if you're a bougie dude, now I know everybody ain't down to earth. You got some bougie dudes on here. I know a few of y'all don't be saying anything or be trying to act cool. But if you're a bougie dude, and I've actually met some, like they had expensive taste. They wanted to go, they wanted to hang out with the other bougie people, go to the art museum, go to the poetry readings, all that stuff. Go see Shakespeare in the park or something. Now, I've known a few, they might be in the hood. They usually the porch kids in the hood because they ain't, either by their choice or their parents got some sense, don't let them hang out with all those other crazy ass kids. So, but that type of dude ain't going to do well in that environment. So if he wants to do well, he needs to change. It might even need to change different cities. See, here's the thing. Every single city got his own energy. Let me go get metaphysic. The metaphysician's going to know what I'm talking about. Everyone got every city just got a certain energy to it. Sometimes you can even feel it if you're attuned enough. And even if you ain't into the metaphysics or anything, you can feel that. It's a different vibe. I'll use that term. Even some street folk understand vibe. Every place gonna have a different vibe. So your vibe might not mesh with the vibe of that city or even the city you in. So what you gotta do? You gotta move. So let me use the example of that bougie dude. He might need to like stack his paper, get out of there, go someplace where there's people more to his liking. You know, it's for those in the DC area, somebody who's growing up wherever the poor areas in DC, they done gentrified most of it so much I don't even know where the poor areas are anymore. But say if they still got a few here and there, but they bougie, or more upper class, they might have to move like to PG County, like Mitchellville, Upper Marlboro, wherever the black people. Wherever the like bougie black people, if they black, if they white, that's something else too. Oh, and let's just be clear, it's not just a race thing. If you that white guy who you growing up with all the rednecks and what whites are called white trash and stuff. Shoot, you ain't gonna hang out too much. You ain't gonna be able to hang out too much in that area. You need to move, and that's all to it. And it's hard to tell where you're going to be unless you travel. Like, it's not a bad idea. Like, if, I would say this. As long as you own a car, if you got a motor vehicle, travel to different cities just near you. See, one thing with me, like, okay, hypothetically, I'm in just outside of Baltimore. But where I'm at, I say within a 3-hour trip, I can hit places like Annapolis, D.C., of course, all the little places in D.C. and in Montgomery County. Then I could also go north. I can hit some parts of New Jersey, Philly, even some places like Harrisburg or something. Like, just hang out, find out what's going on there, and just go there and get the vibe. And trust me, it's always a different thing because you're gonna have different people. Like, let me use Baltimore and D.C. as an example again. Baltimore is more of a blue collar town. Now, it's got some negative press because some politicians want to be on some bullshit. But it's more of a down to earth blue collar type of town, right? Overall, and you got good people. Yeah, you got some bad stuff, but ain't as bad as people making it sound out to be. But it's a little bit more hard scrabble though. You go to DC, it's a totally different energy. DC got just more money in the area. The whole DMV area. Especially the closer you get to the epicenter, which is D.C., just got money. That's because it got the government economy. You got the government economy, all these defense contractors, all the people who still making money. Understand something, and this just an aside, let me shout out Brother T-Talk because he pointed this out. That's one of the nodes of power in the world. Hit him up if you want to know the other two, but that's one of them right there. Guns. Weapons. So if you're a business, and that's something for my business channel, if you can make weapons or something like that, boom. And I know I got a lot of brothers, black men who listen to my business channel. There's actually a weapons maker that's a gun maker that's black in the States. But my point was, so you got all this money floating around DC, so it's a different type. Then you got some major schools and stuff just in the general area, so that's going to bring some people in. Government, you bringing the best of the best, so it's a different type of vibe when you're dealing with the women. It's like maybe in Baltimore you might not have to have that much of a status, just be a generally good dude, but shoot, DC, shoot, you gotta have some change just to live in DC, so you're gonna be on some different states, a different energy, and the women gonna be looking for something. Because even though women money ain't the only thing that'll get a woman, it really ain't, they gonna still take it into consideration. So if they coming in making 6 figures themselves, or as BGS would say, 92 octane, they gonna want something else. But then again, and I use those two cities because I'm back and forth between those two cities. But say you someplace, like from what I heard about some cities in like maybe the Midwest, they may be struggling a little bit. You might be that type, just have a good, strong. You might just be a nice, solid brother with like a real decent. It don't even have to be trades or whatever. Shoot, you might look rich to some women, and they might be a little bit more receptive than they would be in maybe say the DC area. So you want to get different results. You gotta, in order to understand, you gotta probably look at everything. You gotta look at your socioeconomic background. You gotta look at the dudes you gotta compete with in the area. If you like some real healthy dudes, you making money, you're able to afford gym membership and all that. Shit, you're able to have regular dental visits. Shoot, you might look real good to it in an area where most of the men are poor and unemployed. You become the man there. So basically, you gotta look at all those factors. You gotta look at all those factors, even religion. If you get one area, let's say they more open with their religious practices, more of a smorgasbord, as opposed to an area that's like strongly Christian, especially in this country. Or you got some areas. I know you got some parts of Philly, got a strong Muslim influence. That's going to affect things. So you got to look at the whole thing, socioeconomics, everything, how people eating. Shoot. Even some things outside of that. What type of people live there. So anyway, yeah, you're going to get different results. If wherever you live in ain't really working for you, you might need to move. It's just like no ifs, ands, and buts. You might need to just move out. And sometimes you might not even need to move that far. Maybe just change neighborhoods or something. Or hang in different places. So anyway, that's it for that one. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.